a lot of you have been talking or asking about, what is it like on the other side? What was anxiety like for you when you were going through it? So I want to share what was anxiety like for me, and I think that's going to be very helpful for you because you're probably going through it right now. And I think it's very helpful sometimes when you're going through it to see another person in another place. They're on the other side, but you have that reassurance. Was it as bad as me? No, I think I'm extra broken, extra defective. I think there's, mine's more severe than yours was. So I don't know if I can actually overcome this thing. And I want to share with you, what it was like for me to help you see, yes, it was that bad when I was going through it. And then I'm going to share with you what it's like for me these days on the other side. Kind of like the title says, what's normal like? What does that feel like? What can I look forward to? Now, I'm thinking, okay, so social anxiety. So I had it my whole life, okay? But I realized when it became a massive problem in my life, this glaring thing in my face that I had to take a look at. It was in my 30s, and I had gotten this job in a corporate office. So I was working on the tech team, web development, and here's the thing. I got into this situation where I couldn't run and hide anymore because we had these team meetings every Friday, 10 o'clock. We had the weekly stand-up meeting with the team. You had to do your check-ins. Sometimes you had to speak on the spot. I couldn't run. I couldn't avoid the public speaking like I did my whole life. And I remember my first episode very, very clearly. They start going around the room and everybody starts giving their updates. I see a couple of my friends sitting across or standing across from me. They start giving their updates. I don't know what's going on, but I start feeling like I'm having a panic attack. I can't breathe. I feel like I'm suffocating. My heart rate's going through the roof. And I'm trying to think of what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna be on the spot. Before I know it, it's the person right beside me. There's sharing their update, what they've been working on during the week, that sort of thing. Here's an update on my task for the week. Then I have to go and I try to speak, but the physical symptoms, I have this urge to just run and just jump out of the window. I try to speak and my voice starts shaking like a little child. The symptoms are too overwhelming. I'm vibrating, I'm shaking, my whole body's shaking. It's like somebody came up and just, if I was like a giant bell, it's like somebody came and just boom, just struck my whole body. I'm just vibrating with this whole intensity. My voice is shaking like a little child. I try to get a few words out, but it's like my voice, my jaw is just locked up and it's not letting the words get out. And then my mind goes completely blank. I'm talking not a thought is coming to save Rubin in that moment. Nothing is coming to save me. No thought. I'm like waiting for the thought. I start to look up. There's no thought coming. And I look up, and I got a coffee here, by the way. So I look up, and I see this coworker of mine, and she just kind of is so uncomfortable. She's like embarrassed. It's very uncomfortable for her because she saw me just lose control and just completely humiliate myself. And she looks away because I tried to look at her and she looks away. Okay, she's not coming to save me. I look at my friend and his jaw is completely open. He's like, you could see the look in his face, like his concern. He's like, oh my goodness, like are you okay? Like, oh my goodness, like poor Rubin, like, oof, oof. It's like, it's one of those. And so at that time though, my manager jumps in and she says me and she's, well, Rubin's been working on this. And then, we start walking back. The meeting wraps up. I'm completely ashamed. So I don't even know what's going on for the rest of the meeting. I'm obviously in my head and just completely humiliated, feeling ashamed of myself, like there's something completely defective about me. Like, what the hell's going on with me? Can't even speak. And then we do the walk of shame back to my desk, and I asked this other coworker of mine, has that ever happened to you? Have you ever lost control like that? And she says, no, it hasn't happened. I used to get a bit nervous, but then I went to Toastmasters. I'm like, okay. So I think it's a one-off, and then it happens again the next week. The same humiliating, overwhelming situation. And I'm trying to research this. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Is it a public speaking issue? Is it this, is that? No coaches, no therapists, no psychologists have a word for this, which eventually I came to call through my coaching. I eventually came to call this experience a social anxiety attack, or a social flashback, because it's not a panic attack. It's not a panic attack that just comes out of the blue and you start to hyperventilate. It's a social flashback because essentially it's PTSD, right? So you're flashing back to a humiliating experience that you experienced when you were younger, and you're flashing back and you're getting all the physical symptoms like you did back then, and it's happening right in this social situation. And from this point forward, I get completely obsessed. My entire life's focus, my entire life's mission at that point is to seek resolve, like to get over this social anxiety, this speaking problem. So for example, I was seeing a therapist at the time. I was telling her these episodes, they're intense. It's not even that I'm nervous. I'm in utter terror. I'm panicking inside. And her suggestion, I remember at the time, was, well, have you thought about taking a pill? I was like, no, not for public speaking. And then she's like, yeah, I have a client who just takes a pill and it takes the edge off before she speaks. And that wasn't the approach that appealed to me. I felt like I've always had the approach of doing things that are difficult, and I've always believed if I can feel through the discomfort and work through that, I'll come out better on the other side. So taking a pill, taking these shortcuts, and on top of that, just the thought of taking medications. I had taken medications, anti-anxiety medications in the past. The thought of being in that cloudy state, that numb state again, there was just no way I was going to do it. So that was a suggestion from the therapist. Then I started going to see a sports psychologist. I had seen him in the past for jiu-jitsu, but then I started seeing him for the public speaking. And then he was heavily into visualizations, affirmations, breath work. So what do? I go into, this is like a typical day for me. The meeting's at 10 o'clock. I go into the bathroom stall now. 9 o'clock, I sit in the bathroom stall. I'm nervous days before the meeting, and it's just overwhelming right before the meeting starts. So I'm in the bathroom stall an hour before, and I'm doing my breathing techniques, trying to calm myself, and then I'm doing the affirmations. I am a strong speaker. I articulate myself clearly, precisely. I say all the affirmations I was suggested, and then I envision myself giving that powerful talk just for a couple of minutes. And then, bang, 10 o'clock, it's time to go. It's like 9:55. Jump out of the stall, and I'm walking to the end of the hall. That's where the stand-up area was. This is going to be it. This is going to be it. This is going to be it. Again, It's the same thing. They start going around the room and I'm having the physical symptoms. Affirmations go out the door. I can't breathe. I can't do breath work. The visualization goes out the door. I have the same exact episode. And so I start going on this search for the answers here. I start going to Toastmasters. Whenever they would call me up at Toastmasters, I would last like 17 seconds on the table talk because I couldn't do the speeches. I would duck out of that, be in and out of 3-4 clubs. And it even went on past, it's not that it was just the public speaking. It was, for example, I thought because when they were calling on me, I had a memory problem. So then, for example, I researched, I heard about improv classes, how they can help with you for thinking on your feet. So I was taking some improv classes. I would go to those on Saturdays. I remember at 3 p.m. downtown in Vancouver. And in the hopes that when they put me on the spot, I would be able to have some sort of working memory, some sort of words, some thought. Please, like any thought at all. Just let me have a thought and I'll try my best to articulate it out if my body allows me to do so. But it wouldn't move the needle. And so I started to catch on. It wasn't really just a public speaking issue. So I'll give you an example here. I remember my friend from the office, I just entered the building. I was going upstairs to our area. And she's like, "Hey, Rubin, what you doing?" And then I looked over and I just could feel this panic welling up inside me. Like the friendliest person, not a mean bone in her body. And I remember, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go talk to her. So we started talking, and I remember the entire time she's talking, she's laughing, she's smiling, she's kind. Me though, I'm doing my best to fend off a panic attack inside. And I'm just doing my best to manage this thing on the inside and try to stay in the conversation and not have her essentially have this thing exposed and have her catch on to the fact that I feel like I'm dying essentially on the inside. And it's not like, oh, just think of what to say next. Think of what to say next. It's like I felt like I'm gonna die if I don't think of what to say next. It's feeling like it's not like I'm gonna embarrass myself. It feels like it's life or death. That's how intense the anxiety was. Now, to go back to this whole thinking of what to say next, then I was going on into trying to resolve the issues. Maybe it's like a social skills thing. Maybe it's a personality thing. And I invested it into some CBT training. I had invested it into some social skills training. Man, and the social skills and the CBT and the social confidence training, I was absolutely obsessed. Remember, I was saying how obsessed. This thing just consumed my life completely. I remember, waking up in the morning. It was the first thing I thought of when I woke up in the morning. It was the last thing I thought about before going to bed. Set out the day I'm going to talk to 20 strangers today. I would start talking to strangers on my commute to work. Then I would try to set an intention to talk to people around the office, random people, have random conversations. Then I would set out and talk to people on the way home, on the commute back from work, because I was taking public transit at the time, at the SkyTrain, on the bus, at the gym. It just completely consumed my entire life. And I was using I remember this one program. It was it was a social confidence program, and one of the teachings was hey, basically they would call it an offer. And so if somebody says something to you, I'm going traveling in a little while. So next week I'm going on a trip. So what they would teach you to do is you would have the sentences. You'd have the sentences, and what you could do is you would pick out one word This is what they would teach you. This is how deep within this thing this is how deep I was into it. You would pick a word. So I'm going traveling a little bit. I'm going on a trip. You would take the word trip, and that would be the offer. So you would take the word trip, and then you would start riffing, or like you would start talking about trips. Oh, great. Well, oh, you're going on a trip? Well, I like trips in general. Trips are great. Trips make you feel like, you're getting out of your city, and trips make you feel like it's a good way to break up the monotonous routines of your day to day. So, and then, say for example, I would say monotonous. Then the other person, if they were working on this thing, obviously they weren't. They're just normal people. Not everybody's working on this whole social anxiety thing. They're just gonna be in themselves. But if they were, they would say, "Oh, monotonous. Monotony. It's the worst, isn't it?" So you see this whole. It's funny. I can laugh at it now. I can laugh at it now. But man, back when I was going through it, it was a struggle. Just every single aspect of the day just felt so hard. Like everything just felt so hard and exhausting. Like it was absolutely draining. I remember even going to simple things like I was going to a New Year's party with my wife, but she was my girlfriend at the time. Going to a New Year's party, and I was going to meet up with her because she had gone ahead. And I'm in the car, I remember, affirmations. I am a social person. I am confident. I have a good sense of humor. Breathing techniques. Trying to ground myself, trying to visualize how the night's going to go, visualize the conversations. And then, again, it's that same startled response. Walking, knock on the door, they open the door, you see the people. All the people, the eyes are on you, center of attention. And right in that moment, this was always the case. The anxiety is too much. I can't manage. My mind's going blank, can't breathe, my voice is shaking. I'm just doing my best to just manage this anxiety and perform a little bit just to get these people off my back. Just enough so they can get their eyes off of me so I can take a breath. That's what it felt like. And even in that same night, this is how hard it felt. Okay, so made it through the entrance, okay. Okay, so where am I gonna sit? Kind of scanning the room. Cool, there's a table over there. I'm gonna go sit with the guys over there. Sit down at the table, and I'm underneath the table. Everybody's just having a good time. They're just shooting the shit with each other, joking around and stuff. I'm underneath the table. This is how, I guess, not normal I was, because everybody is just, they're doing their thing. Rubin, on the other hand, is underneath the table doing grounding techniques, just so I can try to stay in my body, just so I can try to be just a little bit present. That was my only hope, is can I just please, I will do anything just to be a little bit present, be in my body, so that I can just have a little bit of fun, experience a little bit of connection with the guys at the table. So I hope this gives you a glimpse into what I mean by the anxiety just made everything feel so hard, extremely hard, draining, that by the end of the day, I remember at one point I was so miserable and I was feeling so hopeless that I was starting to just come to this place of acceptance. And this isn't actually what real acceptance is, but I was starting to say to myself, you know what? Like, this is exhausting. So you know what? Maybe I could just get a job where I don't need to deal with people. I could just work on my own, okay? I don't need to go to parties. I can do a job on my own. I could probably live a more secluded life. I can hang out on my own. I think if I just accept that now, I think I could come to a place of acceptance. And I don't know if I'd be happy, but at least I wouldn't end up heartbroken anymore. Trying all of these different things, the therapy, the psychologist, the hypnosis, the NLP, the improv, the Toastmasters, the CBT, the social confidence, the social skills. Trying everything that I could. But being heartbroken, no, just didn't do it. Oh, the next one, no. Sorry, still there. Oh, next one, no. There's that feeling again. It's back. Sorry, Rubin. You maybe on the next one you'll have better luck. And I ultimately was thinking maybe if I just accept that, I would rather do that than experience that letdown again, because that's a very dangerous game, right? But then when I thought about this, it was very that was heartbreaking in itself, because think about it. I grew up in the 80s. I grew up watching, Michael Jackson was my hero. Michael Jordan was one of my heroes. Eddie Murphy was one of my heroes. These different performers were my absolute heroes. These athletes and these musicians primarily. And I was like, Mike Tyson, for example, was another one. And I was thinking, like, I always thought I was going to do something big. Like, I always thought I was going to do something great like them. And as the window got smaller and smaller and smaller, it was like, ooh, I think the whole success thing might be a lie. Maybe all that YouTube motivational stuff, all the success stuff on YouTube, I think maybe it's just a big sham. And you know what? I can't quit. I can't quit until I know for sure. That I'm not going to reach my potential in this lifetime. I just have to keep trying. Eventually, I came across the right mentors. I came across the right people who really showed me that the anxiety is not me. It's something that was developed. It's something that I had to develop in order to adapt to life. But again, it can be unlearned, it can be healed, and it can be healed at the root. So I did eventually work with the right people. For example, Jay Early was one of them. Gary Zukov was another guy that eventually they taught me how to heal anxiety at the root. And they taught me that you don't have to cope and manage with it for your entire life. You don't have to live with anxiety. You don't have to, like I was saying, you don't have to move to the woods and live the secluded life, do a job that doesn't be around people, don't go to parties, don't be social, and just accept that you got to live this isolated, boring kind of life. And so before normalcy, there was a period where I had to really grind at healing. Not grinding away at the coping and managing like I was doing before, and trying to essentially be something I'm not with the social skills and the social confidence. I was grinding away at just healing. I had the right approach, I had the right mentors. Now, I remember what did it look like to get to the normalcy, because I truly fought for it. Okay, I truly fought for it. It was a grind. It's a simple solution. It's not easy. I did have to really work at it. I remember being in a 12-step meeting, for example. This is one of my early wins, being in a 12-step meeting, and I could never speak at the meeting because I just couldn't do it because I knew the vibration would come, the shaking would come, it would be too intense. But I remember it's a gentle kind of environment, and it's a more compassionate space, you could say. So I remember saying, basically when you're about to speak, you say, "Hey, my name is," and then you start to speak. And I say, "Hey, my name is Rubin," and I just started breathing because I knew the shaking was going to come, and it was shaking, I would shake. And I asked them, the group of people, I said, I just need to take some space. I just need to just breathe. And I see the heads nodding. They're cool with it, right? They're really extremely kind people. They're smiling, they're encouraging me. I remember there was a lady sitting across, and she smiled, and I remember I really liked her energy. And I remember when the vibration started to calm down, okay, I started to speak, and you'll notice this as well, you might have experienced this, is when the anxiety starts to well up, also does the voice, where it's like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And I remember when I was trying to speak, the anxiety, it didn't keep leveling up and leveling up and leveling up and then taking me over. It kind of started leveling up and leveling up, and it kind of stayed, and the voice was like, oh my goodness, is this it? Is this it? Is this it? My voice isn't shaking. My voice isn't shaking. Here's the voice. Here's the voice in the background. My voice isn't shaking. My voice isn't shaking. Oh my god. Oh my. Oh my god. Do you have a thought? Do you have a thought? Do you have a thought? Can you speak it out? Oh my goodness, I have thoughts. I have thoughts. I have thoughts. I'm not blanking out. Oh my god. You have thoughts. You have thoughts. Go, 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 go. And then I spoke. And then I could speak. For example, in the past, it was like I couldn't get more than a couple of words out. I speak a sentence. Back to my breathing. And then the voice is, hey, do more. Did you speak? Okay. So then I start speaking, and then I remember I spoke for a while, and I was like, oh my goodness. And I started looking at everybody, and I was like, oh my goodness, this isn't that bad. This isn't that bad. Like, I can do this. And I remember everybody's just really smiling and encouraging. But that was one of the wins. Like, think about it. I always used to think that the normal people, they would take these little things for granted. But people like, for me and you, it's like, these are the wins that truly matter. And then the next thing was going back to those work meetings, and those stand-up meetings, and being able to just focus on my work, focus on the task, speak about the task, and not have to spend all of my energy managing this anxiety on the inside. The other wins would have been like, I remember just being in work meetings, for example, and just feeling that little bit of presence that I was praying for, experiencing that presence and experiencing the presence. And I remember having this thought, like, I don't even care if I speak. I don't even care if I give my opinion. I don't even care if I bring my ideas forward. I'm going to just take this in and just enjoy the fact that I don't have to sit here and ground myself under the table and try to manage my anxiety on the inside and try to battle with my mind and my thoughts the entire meeting to try to get myself to speak. Okay, so the mental battle was no longer going on. And again, it's like nobody normal people wouldn't consider that a win, but for people like me and you, guys like me and you, it's a huge win. Being a little bit present is everything. It's what we're truly after. Being able to speak up for myself also. I just want to share this other win, because the freeze response, freezing up, was one of the most frustrating things that I ever experienced. Freezing up in work meetings, beating myself up for it, waiting for years. One of these days, I'm going to speak up for myself. One of these days, I'm going to speak up for myself. Decades went by, I never did. And I remember going on the way back. Remember, I commuted, so I was on the SkyTrain. And so people would rush into the SkyTrain car, whatever you would call it. At that particular station, they would rush in. Proper etiquette is you're supposed to let the people get out of the SkyTrain first before you rush into the SkyTrain, but they kept rushing into the SkyTrain. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's not personal. But Rubin was taking it personal. And I was like, I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to say, let me out, because I would keep getting rushed in. And I'm going to speak up for myself. Every time I went to that stop, I would start breathing a little bit before. This is the time. I'm going to stand up for myself. Every single time it came. Every single time. I would just get rushed. I wouldn't speak up for myself. But I remember once I did the healing, once I actually felt like I deserved to, once I felt important enough, I remember my voice could fly. Let me out! I could let the voices fly. I could express myself. And it's a very beautiful thing when you see people stop because they hear your voice and they conform and they turn and they make space for you in the world. Again, it's like the normal people, they do that all the time. But for me and for you, things like that, it's a huge win. And actually, even in my mentorship program, when I hear my students talk about these things and they don't give it enough credit, I say, hey, you gotta really celebrate that thing. You gotta do something nice for yourself. You got to buy yourself, for example, reward yourself. Buy yourself something nice. Go buy yourself your favorite drink. Do something nice for yourself to celebrate this moment, because it's a huge win, a massive success. Huge. And I want you to understand that. So these days, I know you've been asking what's it like to live more normal. I think the best way to put it for you is social anxiety. It's not what I focus on. It's not something that I think about on a daily basis. It's not something I think about on a moment to moment basis. So for example, if I go to the grocery store, I don't have this pressure to perform and have a conversation. If I have a conversation, if I feel like having a conversation, I will. If I don't, I don't. If I go outside, I see my neighbor. If I like my neighbor, I'll talk to him. If it's one of the neighbors that pisses me off, I'm not going to talk to him. So it's a feeling like I'm okay as I am. I'm okay as I am. I don't need to perform. Okay, I don't feel like I'm inferior and less than other people. It's a feeling like I'm just on an equal playing field now. And I think the things that I enjoy the most now is, well, one thing for sure is relationships. I think relationships are the most important aspect of our lives. So stable relationships based on mutual respect, honesty, integrity, people keeping their agreements, people keeping their word. That's the one thing. The other side, there's the relationships, and not feeling, here's the other piece, is not feeling like I can participate in life and then I have to retreat. And I can participate in life and then I retreat. I'm fully participating in life, and it's a stable thing. I'll give you an example. Is I saw an old buddy of mine just the other day. You know, he was having coffee with his grandpa, and we used to be training partners. And I saw him, and the feeling is, I'm excited. I'm like, hey man, like, how have you been? Like, it's been 10 years. I didn't see him in 10 years, and we were good training partners. And that's the feeling. These are the little things. It's the feeling of excitement. It's the feeling like when you see somebody you recognize, you're excited and you gravitate towards them. You don't go up and try to talk to people because it's an exposure assignment. It's because you genuinely have this excitement and this gravitation and this desire to want to connect with people and genuinely be interested in them and know how they're doing and how their lives are going. Again, fully participating in life. Previously, as soon as I saw my friend out of my corner, I would have tried to figure out a way to not talk to him. If I couldn't find an escape and a way out, okay, well, how do I explain why my life is such a mess? How do I manage this anxiety? What do I say? So it was that whole thing, not wanting to actually connect. So again, it's that whole retreat thing. The other thing is, you know, when it comes to, say, feeling like, you know, living a more normal life is, for example, my parents are from Fiji. Okay, so we're Indo-Fijian. We had a remembrance day. I talked about this in a previous video, but we had a remembrance day back in May. There was an energy in the room. For example, there was an energy in the room. I didn't like the way the meeting or the meetup. I didn't like the energy and the direction that it was heading in. I didn't like some of the things that people were saying. So it goes back to the whole public speaking thing. I didn't like what was going on, so I just stand up and speak. And I remember after that, a bunch of people approached me and they're like, oh my God, thank you. I'm so glad you said something. They didn't like the way things were, the direction that the conversation was going either. But, you know, they didn't feel like they could kind of speak up and have that voice. So you just never know. Your voice is just your most powerful asset. It's your most powerful gift that you have in the world. It's the most powerful thing you have to make changes in your life and in your environment and what you experience in the world. So, and I'm just reflecting on that. It's, you know, it definitely is something that I take for granted now. It's just something I don't have to worry about ultimately. You know, the symptoms aren't there. The paranoia that the symptoms are going to flare up are not there anymore. I'll give you an example here. Back a few years ago when I was working in a corporate job, I remember I was doing some crazy shit with my diet, and I was doing these extended fasts. I remember I hadn't eaten, it was my 5th day of not eating. So I was taking the intermittent fasting, and I heard you could do extended fasts, and I was taking it way too far. But ultimately, it was on my 5th day of not eating, and they said, to bring this back here full circle, we're gonna start going around the room, and everybody's going to talk about what we've learned, because we had this workshop. And I remember in that moment, I had a bit of nervousness. I had the thought, you haven't even eaten in 5 days. What if you do go blank? But eventually it came around to me, and I actually spoke up, no problem. Didn't eat for 5 days. You know, if anything, that would be the time my mind goes blank. But I remember even after that, it gave me even more confidence. Like, you know, it's just a thing of the past. It's not something that you have to worry about anymore going forward. And so oftentimes I get these reminders, right? So for example, going back to the Remembrance Day for Indo-Fijian people, I've been working on some social projects, and in line with that, I was attending an acting class last year, and I remember a few of the people there were just kept saying, "Rubin, you're so confident. You just exude so much confidence. Oh my God, you're just so natural." And me personally, walking into the rooms, I didn't really think of it that way. But when a couple of my friends, they kept saying it to me, then I realized it really hit me in that moment, because I realized there was another student who was actually anxious. She was still in the social anxiety. And I could just tell how much harder it was to have to try to practice the art of acting while managing your anxiety. It just completely takes your focus off practicing the actual art form. And it was a very good reminder to not take these types of things for granted. And so going forward, this is going to sound a little bit deep here, but my life it's no longer for me. The focus isn't on myself like it was when I was dealing with the anxiety, and everything was about survival, not looking stupid, beating up on myself, shaming myself, hating myself, being exhausted, trying to perform, trying to seem normal. It's really not about me anymore. My focus is on essentially being the best dad that I can be, being the best husband that I can be. Just because I think this is a very important thing to kind of end off with, just because I've overcome, I don't experience symptoms, I don't experience complete dissociation and being in my head, I don't experience panic attacks, I don't experience that anymore. It doesn't mean that I'm not still human. I still get sad, I still get nervous, and I'm very important here. I just want to leave you with this. I'm very uncomfortable every single day, and it's intentional. I think one of the purposes of our lives is to move beyond the control of fear. I think that's the most gratifying work that you can do in your lifetime. So if I can put it this way, I still feel a lot of feelings. I still feel a lot of discomfort because I'm always pushing to my next growth edge. I believe in that. I think that's the true testament of self-esteem. And fear, if you want to call it anxiety, but the nervousness, the discomfort that I feel, it does not control what I do. It does not control my ability to show up for others, my beloved students, my family, the people that I love. Fear does not influence my ability whatsoever to show up as my best self for the people that I care about. And because of that, I can look in the mirror and genuinely like myself, which I could never do before. I hated myself. Man, I didn't like myself one bit. I felt like I was a loser. I felt like I was a complete loser in life. But I genuinely like who I've become. More importantly, I like who I'm becoming. And I think most importantly, I'm excited about what we are building, what we are creating in terms of our mentorship program, and even in my personal life, my family and our community, my people, everything. We are building an incredible future. And it's such an exciting time to be alive. And I'm going to take you with me. I promise. I'm going to take you with me. I'm going to keep you updated on everything that I'm up to. I hope this video helps you in terms of what I used to experience with social anxiety, low self-esteem, low self-worth issues. So I really hope that helps you. Understand that, yes, I was at where you're at. Being normal, what it looks like now, what you have to look forward to. And I just want to say just thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Thank you for being a witness to my life. We got big things that we're going to accomplish, big things that we're going to do. We're going to do it together. I'm going to bring you along with me. And hey, let's enjoy the ride, all right? And if you need my help and support, there's a link below to speak with me directly. I'll see you soon in the next video, all right? See you, brother.